Welcome to A Little Less Stupid, songs and stories to help us be dumb less and smart more. Today's story is on the best marriage advice I ever got. And I remember 3 weeks before our wedding, I was folding napkins at this chocolate-themed restaurant with chocolate-colored walls, and my heart was racing, and I was replaying fights that I had had with my fiance and her dad, and I was thinking of whether or not we should pause or postpone the wedding. I don't know how you pause the wedding, but I was thinking about how you could do it, and we had the pre-shift meeting. The manager gave us this cocoa rubbed short rib special and said it's going to be not too crazy busy. Feel free to give extra time to your tables. And I remember my first table got sat, and I noticed they had a reservation note that said they had an anniversary. And I asked them, hey, how many years have y'all been married? And they said, this is our 20th. And I said, congratulations, let me get y'all some champagne. And I don't know how you can tell somebody or a couple really likes each other, but maybe it's just that they're not on their phones. But this gentleman, when he looked at his wife, he had these like happy wrinkles, almost like happy scars around his eyes when he smiled at her. And you could just tell he really liked his wife. And as the dinner went on, I asked them if they had the attention span for specials. And sometimes serving or waiting tables is just really lame. You are serving someone whose name is Sheila and she doesn't want to be happy. But these people made serving so fun. And I got to give them special cocktails based on their favorite fruit, or gave them wine that paired with their food really well. And then I just felt sometimes I can talk too much. And in this situation, I felt like I had these choice words that only added to their experience. And then I was gone. And as they were finishing up their dinner, I asked them if they trusted me with their dessert decisions. And he said, you haven't failed us so far. And I asked if he ever had any tiffs with passion fruit. And he said, only papayas recently. And when they were finishing their dark chocolate cake with milk chocolate ganache and a passion fruit ice cream, I said, y'all like each other, don't you? And he kind of laughed and said, when we're in public, we put on an act. And I laughed and I said, I'm going to get married in three weeks, and I'm a green banana in the marital world. And I said, if you had any advice for someone like me, what would you say? And the gentleman said, after looking at his wife, where you saw like 20 years of highs and lows flash before his eyes, you saw all of it. And he almost looked mad at me, but he pointed at me and he said, you be better than who you were yesterday, and you don't leave. And that advice was better than I expected. And the first 3 years of marriage for me they just weren't fun. They weren't fun. And I'm not just being ungrateful. It was just like the 3 things that usually ruin marriages. My wife and I were sumo wrestling them, and like finances, family nonsense, trying to figure out how to love the other person physically well. It was just difficult. And I built this habit of assuming the worst of my wife, and surprise, it doesn't do good things. Wives don't like that. And I remember about 3 years in, I was driving out. I was driving out of this parking garage, and I remember singing, la-di-da-di-da-di-da-di. And I wondered, like, what is that? What would the words to that be? And I said, I can feel it in my body. And I wondered, well, where do I feel that? And it was in between my heart and lungs. And I was like, well, what the heck made me feel that? And I pulled out my voice memo app and I started recording. It was like, when my honey boo boo kisses me one more time and I'm done. And the gentleman's advice of be better than who you were yesterday and don't leave. I think I followed it 72% of the time. At least that morning on that day I followed it, and I assumed the best of my wife, and I made her coffee twice. And my wife that day kissed me, and she meant it. And yeah, I tried to make this advice into a song, and this song is called Heart and Lungs. Waiting tables, I asked for love advice. 4 little words changed my life. He looked right at me. Be better. Don't leave, get home. Crack the door. This fight we're having, babe, well, I forgot to love you more. I can feel it in my body, in between my heart and lungs. When my honey boo boo kisses me one more time and I'm done. La-di-da-di-da-di-da-di, in between my heart and lungs. When my honey boo boo kisses me one more time and I'm done. We're the fruit of the vine. We could be sweet in 2 years' time. Lock the doors from the outside. Let's make some Cali red wine. Get home, crack the door. This fight we're having, babe, well, I forgot the why and for. I can feel it in my body, in between my heart and lungs. When my honey boo boo kisses me one more time and I'm done. La-di-da-di-da-do-da-di, in between my heart and lungs. When my honey boo boo kisses me one more time and I'm done. I'm gonna be a bit late to work. Have to say love you without the words. And well, I hope we feel a little less stupid. And subscribe, and we'll see you next week.